Alright guys, back with the OnePlus, and this is going to be my hopefully short but probably not too short of a review after I had it for a week. And I wanted to check out a few things and talk to you about what I think about this phone. There's a lot of controversy, especially lately, coming from left and right. You know, a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, and I'm trying to be, you know, as accurate as possible of my judgment on the phone. So let's quickly cover a few things before we move on to the final conclusion. So I'm gonna start mentioning the things I don't like, and the things I think are kind of more of an essential to me. And one of the reasons why I'm gonna return this phone to OnePlus. This is my final decision. So what I think, first thing, coverage and bands. So OnePlus went to the extent of announcing tons of different LTE bands, one version of the phone all over the world, and unfortunately is missing band 13 for Verizon here in the States. And at the same time, when you use this phone with a Verizon SIM card, it works, but you cannot use voice over LTE. So either you use voice, and when you finish your phone call, you can use data back. Not the biggest problem in the world. I've seen tons of other phones do it, but again, for $480, I think that should not be a problem. You should be able to use it on Verizon, no issues whatsoever. Tons of people in the States are located in the Midwest, where AT&T and T-Mobile don't have big coverage, so Verizon is literally the only option they have, the most essential. So excluding those customers, it's not great for OnePlus. Another thing, cheating on benchmarks. You know, people have been talking about this for a while. They've been doing it in the past. You know, OnePlus is saying, okay, this is going to show the potential of the phone. It's not us really cheating. You know, who's right, who's wrong, I don't really care. The bottom line, for me personally, that's not a big deal. Yeah, cheating is not great, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, what can you say? This is the score on Tutu. Obviously, the top score currently on Tutu scores, 184, 308. I've never seen such a highest score in any phones. The highest one I've seen in my possession was the one on the Pro 3. You guys saw it at 158 and something. So this is close to 30,000 points more. And if we go to the ranking, you're gonna see number one, you know, way above the iPhone 7 Plus, the Mi 6, and all the other ones. I mean, you can see compared to the Mi 6, which is 170,000, the OnePlus has a 184. This is like 15,000 more. So, you know, take it the way you want to take it. For me, that's you know, a bit fishy, but at the same time, if you're all about the benchmarks, you know, obviously you're going to be the winner. The camera is, you know, how to describe it, pretty much meh. You know, for me, that's for a phone that costs $480, and you know, 500 and whatever for the higher spec one, do not have an optical image stabilized camera, regardless of all the, you know, hoopla of being you know, dual camera and all that stuff and blah blah blah, and you know, having a zoom of 2 which again ended up being not 2 times zoom, 1.6 plus 0.4 digital. Again, trickery around OnePlus and not being completely honest with their customers. So again, taking pictures in great daylight is fine, works okay, but again, no stabilization of whatsoever. That's a problem. No stabilization in video, again, that's a problem. Night shots are not the greatest, so they made a big deal. Dual camera, clearer photos, yeah, sure, but not enough. I'm sorry, but I've seen a lot better for I mean, the phone on S7 Edge, the camera on the phones like S7 Edge and the LG G5 are a lot better than this. I'm sorry, but especially in the G5, that's my favorite implementation on dual cameras, one wide angle and the other one regular. I think this whole thing going on with the bokeh effect, or whatever you're gonna call it, they took kind of a from the iPhone and the zoom. That's more or less a gimmick for me. I'd rather have the wide angle one than these, but again, that's me. So again, camera, not a big deal. I don't think for the money that camera is good enough. Screen, the jelly effect, I personally don't see it. I mean, I don't even know how to demonstrate that. I guess this a little bit of a, you know, yeah, I see it now. Okay, it doesn't bother me. You know, personally, I would not care about that. But again, them not coming forward and saying, okay, you know, you might encounter these, and what ended up being that they actually inverted the screen, which is exactly the same on the 3T, but they flipped it around, and that created problems, you know, including this so-called Jellygate effect, which, yeah, you can see that now, but it is what it is. You know, again, not the greatest deal for me. The inverted sound. So obviously, due to the flipped screen, apparently now the sound is inverted. So I didn't notice that, but just read it just a day ago. So that might be a problem for some people. Smaller battery, 3300 versus 34 last year. I think that's a little bit of a down. Yeah, the 835 SoC is more efficient, but really, I mean, could you not fit bigger battery? I'd rather be having a thicker phone than this, you know, super thin one, and just have a bigger battery. Just put a 4000 milliamp, you know, something like that, to, you know, similar to the Pro 3. And being so thin, by the way, it's a bit tricky to pick it off a table. You know, kind of, you gotta really grip it. Unless you have a cover or a case, it's going to be hard to take it off the table because it's so thin. No IPX68 or any kind of form of you know, waterproofing. That's a problem. You know, a lot of phones today come up with this. Most, if not all, flagships come with that. People love it. You know, for me, again, not a huge deal, but I see where people are complaining about, and I see why they're not happy about this being omitted from the phone. You know, not having a new screen. It's not 2K. Again, for me, that's not a big problem. If the screen is the normal rotation, just like on the 3T, and don't have the jelly effect and all that stuff. 1080p, 5.5, that's the perfect size for me personally. So that's not a gigantic problem. So no oleophobic coating on the screen, that's a problem. I heard a lot of people saying after they removed the screen protector that it gets, you know, super smudgy with your fingers and fingerprints. So no, not having an oleophobic coating, it's a bit of an issue, especially if you're more OCD like me. But again, not the greatest. So again, back to the camera. You know, this camera hump, you know, I really don't like where companies do that. They could have filled the body of the phone a little bit more with bigger battery and just sacrifice, I don't know, 1 millimeter and make it flush. But again, I'm not a designer. But this is something that really is it's not something I like. And the final thing, price. You know, $480. I'm sorry, but they should have stuck with the last year pricing for $440, or to be honest, completely. If they wanted to be a true flagship killer like always they claim to be, they should have stuck with $400. $399 should have been the starting price of this phone, and I think a lot more people would have bought it, no problems. So things I like now. Super fast. Obviously, the phone is extremely fast, scrolling through menus, opening apps, doing all that stuff. It's extremely fast. It's, you know, that's one of the things they have. It's a light OS with no problem whatsoever, tailored to work perfectly well. So I can't complain about that. Plenty of RAM. Obviously 6 gig on the lower one, overkill. The 8 gigs on the higher spec one, complete overkill. You know, I have multiple phones with 4 gigs of RAM. None of them have ever struggled to need more RAM. I mean, it is what it is. I think having more than 4 gigs of RAM is a bit of a gimmick. but I know that's the trend, and people will need more and more and more to kind of, you know, hey, look at me, I have more. For me, that's something it's not needed. If that's the reason for you to boost up the price, yeah, no, I need just leave it to 4, leave it to 6. It should be fine. Great build quality, obviously very sturdy, high quality, very solid, you know, aluminum body with glass Gorilla 5 on the screen. Can't say nothing about that. Absolutely great. Good package. Again, absolutely amazing presentation with the bundled cable and a charger, but we've seen that before from them. The OS is completely, you know, clean, no bloatware. You know, the only kind of a maybe unwanted nap will be the community, but again, I'm sure some people probably like that. So, fingerprint sensor, super fast, probably the fastest I've ever seen. You know, I gotta measure. Do some more scientific measurements, but it's up to par to the fastest phones I've seen, but this is probably the fastest ever. Having a screen protector on, big huge thumbs up. I mentioned my initial video. Love when companies do that. That saves me money and time to apply a screen protector, which I always do on phones that I can, because no matter how great the screen and the glass is, it's always going to scratch. There will be one little pocket sand that will scratch that screen, and you're going to be completely mad after that. At least I am. You know, I like my phones and my screens to be pristine and not scratched. And last but not least, the slider, the notification slider, you know, obviously on silent, do not disturb, and then noises. Very convenient, awesome. I would love every phone to have that. Probably one of the best features of OnePlus. I think they did an amazing job coming up with this feature a couple years back. I think it should stay, and it's you know, it's highly appreciated. To be honest, I love it. So last thing, you know, I'm definitely going to return this phone. I'm within the 15 days, you know, no hassle free, which turned out to be not exactly the story, but because you gotta pay for the shipping back to them. But hey, I'm gonna eat that charge. It is what it is. But I'm gonna send them to them because overall the phone is underwhelming. You know, I was expecting more. That's pretty much the notion that everybody gets from this phone, unless you're a complete OnePlus fanboy. Yeah, kudos for keeping the 3.5mm headphone jack as well. That's huge. I gotta give them credit for that, but at the same time, I'm sorry, but it's, you know, it's not the full package. If this phone was working completely on Verizon with voice over LTE, no problems whatsoever, I could have swallowed the rest of the negative feedback on that and run with it. But Verizon is my main carrier. It's essential. I want to use it on my main phones, so this is not helping me with OnePlus. That's pretty much it, guys. Let me know what you think, if you have it, if you return it, if you're planning to keep it, what else you think about this phone. I think overall it's a good phone, not great unfortunately, and the price is just not justifying the what the phone delivers. That's pretty much it. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video. Stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe if you're new. Obviously that helps me a lot to bring you some more content like this, and very soon I'm gonna have a lot more coming to you, a lot more exciting things, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a good one. Bye.